Hey, so I've been absent from this channel for several months, and I've only posted 2 videos in 2019 so far, and I feel like that maybe deserves some kind of explanation. So yeah, I'm here to talk about why I haven't been posting, what's going on here, and what the future of this channel is, or might be. So first of all, why I haven't been posting. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm depressed. I mean, there are days that I just can't face work. That's part of the problem. That's a big part of the problem. But it's not the whole explanation, so let's get into that. So the other things that have happened this year to make me only post 2 videos, for one thing, I've had 2 failed projects so far. I was working on a vacuum clamping table for my CNC router. The CNC router self-destructed. It's a prototype of one that I'm building, and I had to go back and basically redesign the CNC router, and I completely rebuilt another prototype, which took quite a bit of time. So I've been working on that in the background, and I've also had another failed project that basically I've had to go back to the drawing board. Of course, I'm not giving up on the project, but I have to redesign and figure out how to make it work without the aspect that failed. So I should have posted 4 videos this year if everything had worked. And also I have been working on stuff in the background building prototypes, specifically for the CNC router. I'm going to talk more about prototypes and that stuff in a little bit. But another thing that I have done in the past couple of months, I basically just got too... I started feeling too trapped here, too stuck. And I decided I wanted to just get out for a while. So I just hit the road and took a big road trip. I left on August 2nd. I think I got back on September the 6th. So it's like 5 weeks on the road. I drove all the way around the perimeter of the United States, a little over 10,000 miles. Spent quite a few days just exploring some of the cities along the way and went to a lot of museums and stuff. And basically came back feeling a lot more refreshed, a lot more ready to tackle some projects. So I've been home for about a week now, and I'm mostly working on a new prototype. That's something I need to talk about too, because these prototypes, I made a video of building the last prototype of the CNC router, and I'm probably going to make a video of the prototype for my belt grinder surface grinder attachment as well. I'm not sure. But if I do make a video of that, I'm not going to post it until after I've posted the plans. So building prototypes is something that doesn't yield a lot of content for this channel, but it's something that I think is worth doing because it makes the projects better, and eventually when I sell plans for these projects, that's worth a lot if the project has been tested, if I figured out what works and what doesn't beforehand. And speaking of prototypes, this is something that I haven't had the resources to do in the past. So this is all thanks to you watching my videos, buying my plans, supporting me on Patreon. All of that is why it's possible now for me to make prototypes. Prior to the belt grinder project, I didn't have the money to make a prototype. For the belt grinder, I basically completely drained my bank account to build that thing. I couldn't do it twice. I could only build one. So now, thanks to you, I'm able to buy materials to build a prototype, and then buy more materials to build a second prototype that's better, and then buy materials to build the final version that I can show you. And that yields a much better product for you. So, thank you. So what's going on right now is I'm working on the CNC router. I teased about the CNC router a long time ago, like a couple years ago. I've been working on it this whole time, working on the design. I'm currently working on the 3rd prototype for the machine. And actually, I'm going to read you the specs, or the target specs for the machine, just to give you some idea of what I'm working on. I can't show you the machine yet, but like I said, I did film the most recent prototype, and I'm planning to film the 3rd prototype as well, so that later, at some point, I might be able to release those videos so you can see kind of what went into it beforehand. Specs for the CNC router. Now, these are target specs, so I'm not guaranteeing that I'm going to hit all of these points, but this is a note that I put in my phone back early when I first started on the CNC router project. So this is what I'm trying for. The design will be scalable up to at least a 48-inch square cutting area. Now, this is mostly meant to be a desktop CNC, so it's not really made to be that big, but I'm going to make sure it can be scaled to that size if you want to. The cost for a 24-inch square machine is going to be less than $1,000, including all wiring, the control box, dust collection, but not including the router or the stand that it sits on or the computer. And again, that's for a 24-inch square machine. Bigger than that will cost more, smaller than that will cost less. The accuracy and repeatability I'm going to try for within 5/1000ths of an inch. If the same part is cut once using a climb cut and once using a conventional cut, those two should be within 5/1000ths of each other. So normally when you cut one with a climb cut, the machine flexes outward and the part ends up bigger than expected. And if you cut it with a conventional cut, it flexes inward and the part ends up smaller than expected. So that's sort of how I'm gauging the flex. And that's all calculated when you're cutting in hardwood at a speed of 50 inches per minute. So that's sort of the target for the rigidity of the machine and backlash and stuff. It needs to be a very accurate machine. That's sort of the whole point of this. It must be easy to build with limited tools. Power tools are limited to a drill press and angle grinder. Hacksaw files are okay, and a number of drill and tap sizes, although I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. Every component must be easy for someone with limited experience to build. So I'm trying to make sure that this is super easy for me to build so that even someone who's maybe less experienced than me will still be able to. No hard to find parts may be used. As many as possible should be common off-the-shelf items. If any part that is used that is even slightly hard to find, then the design must accommodate various versions of that part so the customer has more than one option. So just trying to make sure I'm not using any rare, hard to find parts. And dust collection and cable management are going to be taken into account. The customer should not be left with that problem. So the design for the dust collection and cable management will be in the machine itself. Again, not guaranteeing I'm going to hit those specs, but that's what I'm going for. And based on my prototypes so far, I think I'm going to come pretty close to that. I'm also working on the surface grinder attachment for the belt grinder. This has been a very challenging project because I actually started on the surface grinder attachment before I released the original belt grinder video. I had designed all of the attachments before the belt grinder just to be sure they would all work with this design so that when I released the belt grinder design, I know that I can make all of these other attachments and they will work. So I've had the surface grinder attachment in mind for a couple years, but the challenge with it is I need to be able to build it using very basic tools. I wanted to make sure that anyone who was able to build the belt grinder would also be able to build the surface grinder attachment, which means you basically just have to be able to build it with a drill press, an angle grinder, and a welder, which is what the belt grinder takes, and a few other basic tools. And of course, you can also use the belt grinder itself because anyone building the surface grinder attachment will already have that. But the big challenge there is those are all relatively crude tools. They're not precise. And without using a mill and a lathe, it's really hard to make a precise surface grinder attachment. So that's been a big challenge to design one that can be built with relatively crude and basic tools, but is still super precise. Within a week, I should have all of the materials to build my first prototype, so I hope it works. The next project video on this channel, honestly, I don't know when it's going to be because I don't have one right now. Please be patient. I also posted a video about a year ago about looking for a job. And I want to address that because I promised a few people back then that I would make an update video about that, and I haven't yet. So the reason I haven't made an update video about it is there's been no conclusion. I don't have a job yet. I'm still self-employed. I'm still doing YouTube and plans and stuff full-time, believe it or not. What I was looking for back then was a job in electric vehicles or renewable energy, but preferably electric vehicles. And that's still my passion. That's what I want to do. But I haven't been able to get on anywhere, I think mostly because I don't have an education or employment history, and most employers are just not comfortable hiring me, which is perfectly reasonable. And the thing is, I don't really want to get a job. I like being self-employed. I like working from home, obviously. The reason I was looking for a job is that I can't think of any way to do this. I can't think of any way to get involved with electric vehicles with a business that I can run myself. I haven't thought of anything yet. Ultimately, if I could do something in the electric vehicle field myself, I would already be doing that. What that means for this YouTube channel, I hope to always continue making these YouTube videos because I think I'm a tinkerer, and as long as I'm tinkering, as long as I'm messing with stuff in the shop and building my own tools and stuff, there's no reason not to film it and throw it on YouTube. But right now, this is working as a business. So for at least, I think, a couple years, I'm going to try to continue making as many videos and as many sets of plans as I can, and in my spare time work to educate myself more on electric powertrains so that I can eventually get into that. And maybe, hopefully, within the next couple of years, if I'm working a little bit in that field, maybe I'll come up with something that I can do myself so I can be involved with electric vehicles but be self-employed. I kind of came home from my trip with this decision made that for the next couple of years, I'm going to focus on this, on making YouTube videos and plans, and try to focus on making some money right now, try to make this business work for a couple years at least. And, after that, I'm not saying I'm going to quit this. I want to continue making YouTube videos because I find it fun. I just don't want it to be my business forever, if that makes sense. I want this to just kind of be more of a hobby in the future. But since it's working as a business right now, I'm going to try to go ahead and make it work for as long as I can. So I hope that gives you some idea of where I've been, what's been going on in the background during my absence, and I hope you're excited for the projects that are coming up. Yeah. Like I said, I don't know when my next project video is going to be. I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't think the surface grinder is going to be ready for a month or two, maybe more. No promises here. I'm not making any promises. I'm not sure it's even going to work. And the CNC router is farther off than that yet. So that stuff's a little ways off. Hopefully I can come up with something to make some videos about within the next few weeks. Yeah. Thanks for watching. And thanks for being a subscriber and viewing all my videos and stuff. That's why this is all possible. Thank you.